Welcome back to the Snark side, the only place where chaotic energy, absolute delusion, and unfiltered commentary actually thrive. Babes, whenever you're listening to this, whatever time zone you're in, we just want to say we freaking love you.
We love you so much, and I just need to announce right out of the gate that the Casamigos margaritas are officially on deck. We are fully, entirely activated.
Dangerously activated. I mean, these are a little too good. Like, they're smooth, they're strong, and I'll admit, my decisions for the rest of this recording are already highly questionable.
Oh, absolutely. They go down like water, but hit like a freight train of truth serum. My analytical filters are completely dissolved, which is exactly what we need for the absolute mess we are about to unpack today.
Exactly. We are floating, but we are ready. Now, for anyone who's actually watching the video feed right now, yes, babes, we are both wearing vintage, incredibly loud Pokemon shirts.
We are. And we promise you there is a deeply unhinged reason for this wardrobe choice. We didn't just get lost on our way to a 1999 convention.
No, because right before we got to the studio, I was having an emotional spiral in the car. Like a full-blown crisis about one specific question. When the fuck did Pokemon cards get popular again?
It is the sheer absurdity of the market mechanics. I have been breaking this down all morning, and it makes no sense.
Like, babes, one minute they were our entire personality at age 9, we were obsessed. The next minute they completely vanished from the culture for 20 years, and now...
And now you have fully grown adults with lower back pain and 401ks having literal meltdowns online over holographic Charizards.
Yes. Like, who is buying them? Why are they so expensive? Did we miss a memo?
We missed a massive financial opportunity is what we missed. It's not kids driving this market. It's these finance pros treating shiny pieces of cardboard like diversified investment portfolios.
Wait, really? Like, as actual investments?
Oh, yeah. They are putting Pikachu cards in acrylic climate-controlled vaults. It's ridiculous. So psychologically, they're just trying to buy back the agency and joy they felt at 9 years old.
Oh my God, that is so bleak, but also, I get it. Because I have this very vivid, incredibly chaotic childhood memory that still haunts me.
Oh, do you tell?
Picture the terrifying, high-stakes environment at the elementary school lunch tables. It was literally a ruthless black market economy running on, like, sugar rushes and sticky fingers.
The absolute trenches.
Right. And I am still, to this day, holding a massive grudge over getting scammed out of a shiny card. I traded it for a basic, crumpled-up Diglett because some older kid completely manipulated me.
A Diglett. Oh, that is tragic.
Yeah.
You got a crash course in predatory lending before you even learned long division.
I was vulnerable. I held on to that trauma for years. What was your Pokemon trauma?
Mine wasn't at the lunch tables. It was in the backseat of my parents' Dodge Caravan. I was battling on the original Game Boy, the heavy gray brick.
With the little worm light attached.
Yes. The warm light and the magnifying glass just to see the screen. Anyway, I lost this highly dramatic digital battle. My team was wiped out, and I sat in that minivan absolutely weeping.
Oh no, full tears.
Full world-ending tears. And my parents were in the front seat, completely baffled, staring at me in the rearview mirror like I was an alien. They did not understand the obsession.
We were so emotionally invested in things we couldn't control, and honestly, that cocktail of childhood trauma, nostalgia, and pure delusion is the perfect vibe for what we're talking about today.
It really is. And we need to give a huge shout out to Janessa from the Snark Squad for sliding into the DMs and requesting that we covered this specific show.
Gabes, you already know, we are your messy fairy godparents. You call, we show up with tequila and opinions.
But we do need to admit something to you, the listener, right now. We have actually never watched this show before.
Never. Not one single minute. We are jumping into Season 4, Episode 1 of The Way Home, completely blind.
We have no idea what the Landry family tree looks like or the quantum physics of this magic pond, but we are ready.
We are so pumped. Like, the vibe check. Mysterious, emotional, insanely chaotic. We are ready to judge, spiral, and fully commit to the mess.
Let's get into it. Let's start with the absolute narrative whiplash of the opening scene.
I was screaming. We open the episode, and instead of giving us, context, we are thrown into a flash forward. We are at this murky pond, lanterns everywhere.
The environmental storytelling was very intense. Someone is clearly setting up for a wedding.
Right, and Kat is standing there wearing this fierce, devastatingly bold red lipstick, and she just casually says she wishes he was here.
Which immediately triggers an analytical spiral. Who is he? Is it Jacob? Is it Elliot? some random time-traveling bootlegger.
I was so stressed out. Starting a premiere with a flash-forward tease is just rude. It's designed to give us anxiety.
It's highly manipulative.
Yeah.
Because before you can even process the red lip, the timeline snaps back, and we're in the present day.
Thank God, because I couldn't handle the suspense. So Kat, Alice, and Elliot are storming the pond to find answers about Elliot's mom, Tessa.
But before they jump, we have to talk about the absolute creep factor of Sam Bishop.
Oh my God, yes. Why is this man lurking in the bushes, spying on them with a literal notebook?
The visual framing is pure true crime documentary. Who stands in the foliage taking notes on a family staring at a swamp? It implies surveillance.
Total predator vibes. But then they actually go into the water. And they pop out in the 1970s.
What do they find? They literally find baby Elliot abandoned in a wicker basket next to the muddy edge of the pond with a note.
A note, like he's a piece of unwanted furniture on the curb. I was losing my mind.
The logistics of infant abandonment are jarring, but Kat's decision-making process is what truly defies reason.
Because she just picks him up and walks to the Landry house.
She drops the baby on the wooden porch. She leaves him there like an unsolicited Amazon package. You cannot just leave an infant on a porch in rural 1970s Canada.
The ethics are terrible, but honestly, I was just so emotional for present-day Elliot. He is standing in the bushes watching his infant self get abandoned.
It is the ultimate manifestation of the inner child trauma.
He literally watches his mom choose to jump into a freezing swamp rather than raise him, while his dad is out fishing. The betrayal is just so tangible.
I acknowledge the emotional resonance, I really do. But I have to push back on the mechanics of what happens next.
Wait, what do you mean?
Del and Colton walk out, find a random, undocumented infant on their porch, and they are completely unfazed.
Oh, that's true. They were way too calm.
Zero cognitive dissonance.
Uh-huh.
They just take the baby inside. Like acquiring porch children is a weekly chore. They are hiding something.
They have to be. But the show just whips us away again. Boom, 7 months later, present-day Port Haven.
It's the summer of Alice's graduation, and we immediately get hit with complex socioeconomic family dynamics. We need to talk about Brady.
Kat's ex-husband, showing up to the family dinner to give Alice a surprise vintage blue VW Beetle.
Which is a nice gift, sure.
Yeah.
But then he uses the dinner to aggressively flex his wealth. He announces he's fully funding her New York Performing Arts School tuition.
And physically cuts a check at the table. It was so awkward.
It's conspicuous consumption weaponized against his ex-wife's family. He wants everyone to know he has the power.
I loved the tension, though. When Elliot finally calls Brady out over the dinner plates, delicious.
But Elliot has his own massive issues this episode. His romantic strategy is deeply flawed.
By strategy, you mean his absolute refusal to just propose.
Exactly. He is suffering from a severe case of perfectionism. He's waiting for the perfect moment at the end of the summer, renting a gazebo, organizing a musical performance.
And Kat is palpably vibrating with annoyance. She doesn't want a theatrical production.
Elliot is treating this proposal like a highly curated Instagram grid. But real life is a messy TikTok live. You cannot control the lighting. Just do it.
He's trying to direct a play when half his cast is in a different century. It's so frustrating. But while Elliot is stalling, Del is fully spiraling.
The Jacob storyline was incredibly tense.
I was screaming at the TV. Jacob hops on a commercial bus to Toronto because he thinks he's the reason Del is getting threatening letters.
Which initiates the most logically confounding sequence. Del and Sam jump into a heavy-duty pickup truck and engage in a literal high-speed chase to pull the bus over.
A literal truck chase. To stop a bus.
They force it to the side of the road. Del gets on the bus, delivers this tear-soaked monologue, tells Jacob, "I love you," and then what happens?
She watches him sit back down, and she gets off the bus.
She steps off the bus and watches it drive away. Why execute a Fast and Furious traffic interception just to say goodbye?
It makes no sense. And who even wrote the letters? Is it Danny? It felt like such a flimsy excuse to rate Jacob out of the episode.
It was incredibly contrived. And Del's questionable choices just escalate. We have to dissect the front lawn sequence.
Oh my God, Mother of the Year over here. She is aggressively excavating her own manicured grass, looking for a 1975 time capsule she buried with Colton.
The visual of her destroying her property is a perfect metaphor for her internal
Yeah.
state. But then she finds the capsule, pulls out a letter addressed to her future child, Kat. What does she do?
She reads it out loud to Alice, her teenage granddaughter, while Kat is standing right there.
It is a staggering display of emotional bypass.
I was furious. Del is letting her unresolved guilt ruin her relationship with Kat, and she's just projecting all this generational trauma onto Alice.
It's the textbook definition of trauma skipping a generation. The bond with Kat is too fraught, so she seeks validation from Alice. It's painful to watch.
It really is. But let's pivot because the aesthetic shift that happened next completely saved me. The 1925 bootlegger tease.
Yes, the podcast. Rita, running a surprisingly high-production ghost story podcast about the 100th anniversary of the Lingermore Estate tunnel explosion.
Where a bootlegger allegedly died in the rubble. Give me a 1920s speakeasy ghost story any day.
The show does a great job shifting mediums here. Alice sneaks in to watch Louis Goodwin's newly purchased 1925 silent film tapes.
And we see young Fern Landry auditioning as Cassandra. The grainy, flickery film look was so cool.
But then the visual language is violently disrupted. Out of nowhere, the frame cuts, and Kat stumbles into the shot.
Looking absolutely terrified. It was cinematic gold. Seeing a modern character trapped in a 1925 silent film, brilliant.
And that visual evidence is the catalyst. Kat and Elliot start deconstructing the old 65 and 25 riddle that Fern used to sing.
I loved the banter here. Kat finally realizes it's a math equation. Fern meant a 65-year-old person living in the year 1925.
The timeline math actually aligns perfectly. Tessa was born in 1961. If she traveled back to 1925, she'd carry 64 years of aging with her, turning 65 in 1925.
It transforms a creepy nursery rhyme into a GPS coordinate. So satisfying.
Which propels us to the most chaotic climax. Alice goes to the yard to bury her own time capsule, and the mechanics of this scene are undeniably hilarious.
Okay, yes, it was peak magical realism.
It is the zenith of plot convenience. She takes a trowel, digs precisely 1 inch into the topsoil, and instantly strikes a fully intact vintage suitcase.
A suitcase that has supposedly been there for decades, 1 inch down.
If you bury a suitcase under 1 inch of dirt in Canada, a stray raccoon is excavating that luggage by Tuesday.
The earth literally just offered it up to her, but the contents were so emotional.
Tessa's ID, tarot cards.
Which opens up a whole mystical can of worms.
And a pristine photo of Tessa holding baby Elliot, swaddled in the exact same blanket as that creepy, ticking, beautiful dreamer clock Elliot found in the wall.
That blanket ruined me. It completely shattered Elliot's internal narrative. He always thought his mom abandoned him because she didn't care.
But seeing that blanket proves she carried a memento of him across time. The abandonment narrative is suddenly infused with love.
And he loses his mind. He decides he has to jump into the pond right then and there.
So they sprint to the pond, they lock hands, they jump. And the pond aggressively rejects Elliot.
It spits him out like a bad piece of sushi, only Kat gets pulled under.
And Alice, watching this, goes into pure panic and dives in after her mother.
Which gives us the greatest cliffhanger ever. The pond separates them.
Narrative symmetry at its finest. Kat surfaces in 1925 face-to-face with young silent film Fern.
And Alice surfaces in the 1970s face-to-face with elderly eccentric Fern.
And both versions of Fern look at them and deliver the exact same line. And when are you from, dearie?
Peak cinema. I was screaming at my television, the casual acceptance of time travel from a woman who clearly knows what's up.
It was an incredible hour of television. But now that we've untangled the plot, we need to transition into our analytical segments. Let's start with time travel or trauma.
Yes. Okay, the concept here is to look at the emotional arcs and ask, is this time-traveling pond actually healing these people, or is it just a toxic cycle of trauma?
I know exactly where you stand on this.
I am fully planting my flag on the side of healing. Look at Elliot. He starts the episode furious, hating his mom.
Ratifiably so.
But the pond gives him the suitcase and the photo. It forces him to confront the nuance of his mother's choice. It acts like a form of exposure therapy.
No, absolutely not.
It gives him a physical artifact to rewrite his narrative. It's helping him find closure.
I completely reject this conclusion. The pond is not a therapist. It is a toxic enabler.
How?
It's called intermittent reinforcement. It's a psychological principle where you get a reward at random intervals, which creates a trauma bond. That is exactly what the pond is doing.
Oh, wow. Wait.
Your mom left you in a freezing swamp with wildlife, Elliot. A baby blanket in a shallow grave does not negate child abandonment.
But he needed to know she loved him.
The pond is like a bad ex who ghosts you for a decade and then sends a thinking of you text at 2 a.m. just to keep you on the hook. It's feeding him breadcrumbs.
Okay, the bad ex comparison is actually so accurate. But Kat is trying to help him.
Is she? Or is Kat just feeding her own journalist obsession with mysteries? She treats her family's trauma like an escape room. She prioritizes the solve over the stability.
Oh, that is a read. Prioritizing the solve over the stability. Okay, your argument is painfully strong. The pond might actually be a menace.
It is a menace. Which leads us perfectly into our next segment, main character energy check.
Yes, who is giving genuine main character energy and who is completely delusional, walking around thinking they are the star when they are clearly a side character.
You start. Who has true MC energy?
I am enthusiastically awarding it to Alice. She is the emotional core.
I agree.
She gets the blue VW Beetle, she has a love triangle with Noah and Max, and she literally abandons her own original song to sing Colton's song to a weeping crowd. That is protagonist behavior.
She is holding the weight of 3 generations. But we must address the delusions of grandeur happening on the periphery. I have 2 suspects for delusional energy.
Ooh, hit me.
First, Brady. He thinks cutting a check for New York tuition makes him the savior of the family. He's just a financial plot device.
He thinks he's writing the script just because he funded the budget. Who is your second suspect?
Max. We need to ruthlessly analyze Max, because he's giving pure Elliot 2.0 energy.
Oh my God, the nice guy fallacy.
Yes. He is stuck in the friend zone, complaining about fundraiser decorations, and secretly pining for Alice while she kisses Noah. He thinks his passive suffering makes him the romantic lead.
He really thinks the universe is going to reward him just for holding a tape dispenser.
Exactly. He needs to either step up, confess his feelings, and risk the friendship, or accept his role as a side character.
Make the grand gesture in the rain, Max. Come on.
Speaking of making questionable choices, let's move to our next segment, If We Lived Here.
My favorite segment. This is where we insert ourselves directly into Port Haven and reveal what chaos we would accidentally cause.
Knowing us, the chaos would be catastrophic.
Oh, I would completely derail the local economy. I would completely abandon the family drama, team up with gossipy Rita, and monetize the Lingermore tunnels.
You're turning it into a business.
Yes, a ghost podcast empire. I would be down in that rubble with an EMF reader, a ring light, and my tequila, trying to interview the dead bootlegger. We'd be a Spotify exclusive in a month.
A ruthless capitalization of historical tragedy. I respect the hustle.
What would you do?
I would use the magical time-traveling pond for incredibly petty, selfish reasons.
Obviously.
I'm connecting this back to our intro. I would calculate the coordinates for 1999, jump in, and physically tackle my 9-year-old self to the cafeteria floor.
No.
I would stop myself from trading that holographic Charizard for a base set Diglett. I am altering the timeline for portfolio protection.
You would assault a child over cardboard. Babes, the butterfly effect.
I don't care.
You would erase Alice from existence. You would unspool the entire Landry family tree just to get a Pokemon card back.
And I would sit in my present-day mansion admiring my PSA 10 graded Charizard, completely unbothered, while Cat slowly fades out of a Polaroid picture like Marty McFly.
You are a temporal villain. Absolute menace. Okay, before you destroy this space-time continuum, let's get into our final segment, Snark Squad Theories.
Let's throw out some wild, highly questionable deductive reasoning and let the listener judge us.
Theory 1. The bootlegger who died in the 1926 explosion didn't actually die.
Right. My theory is that the explosion was a distraction. He fled into the woods, fell into the pond to escape, and traveled to the present day.
Wait, I love this.
I think this bootlegger is Thomas, and he is the he Cat is longing for in the flash forward. He's going to crash her modern-day wedding.
A prohibition outlaw crashing a lantern-lit modern wedding. That is peak romance. I fully endorse this. Okay, theory 2.
Let's hear it.
We know about Coltney's mysterious brother Griffin, who set the pocket watch. What if Sam Bishop, the creepy guy with the notebook, is actually Griffin time-traveling?
I am aggressively dismantling this theory right now.
Why?
Because of human facial recognition.
Yeah.
Dills was married to Colton? You're telling me she's standing in her driveway flirting with Sam Bishop, and she doesn't recognize her own brother-in-law's face?
The pond could alter his physical manifestation? Or he had reconstructive surgery in the 80s?
It shatters the suspension of disbelief. She would know his bone structure. I hate it.
Fine, fine. What's your theory?
Theory 3 is a wild internet theory circulating right now. People think Casey is actually Alice and Max's kid from the future.
Oh, I love that.
Analytically, it makes zero sense. It relies on the bootstrap paradox. If Casey travels back to push them together, but they only get together because of Casey, where does the original impulse start? The math is ridiculous.
I completely disagree. I am fully shipping Alice and Max.
You ignore the temporal math for romance.
Max pushing Alice toward her dreams proves they are soulmates. The time travel genetics will work themselves out. The pond operates on vibes, not quantum physics. Casey is their kid.
We will have to monitor the data on that one.
Yes, we will. And speaking of time, babes, we have reached the end of this chaotic recap.
It has been a wild ride. We want to thank the Snark Squad for hanging out with us through all of this.
If you survived our tequila-fueled tangents, please leave us a rating and a review, and share this episode with a messy friend who loves reality TV vibes and generational drama.
Please do.
And babes, we started this show spiraling about childhood, Pokemon nostalgia, and sticky lunch tables, and somehow ended up fully emotionally invested in a time-traveling baby left in a swamp. Is this growth? Or just new chaos?
It is absolutely just new chaos. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, hit him with it.
Think about that 1975 photo of Dell, Colton, and Tessa. The physical photo was ripped. Someone violently tore a section away. Who is the fourth person in that picture? And why did they need to be erased from history? Sleep with one eye open, Port Haven.
Chills. Literally, timeline-shattering chills. Babes, stay shady.
Stay iconic.
And we'll see you on the Snark side.